It's time for Mornings at 8 with Jonathan Mark on AM 1480 WLEA.
Well, yes, it is time for Mornings at 8. It's 5 minutes after 8 o'clock on a Monday morning. Unmistakably Monday. You can't miss it. The start of the work week, and fasten your seatbelt, and here comes the entire work week. Okay, fine. Well, you know, for as long as I've been doing this show here, not very long, but, you know, like sort of, I try to keep it on the light side. Quirky stories here and there, sort of eccentric, weird stories here and there, and it's kind of fun, and it's very enjoyable. And that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy, you know, I leave all the really serious stuff for other people. But this morning, I really cannot pass this up. I don't want to pass it up. I want to talk about this. But, you know, in the Canisteo Valley, we had a beautiful weekend here. It was absolutely so gorgeous. If you wanted to do anything at all outside, it was perfect weather for it. It felt good. It looked good. Everything was good about it here. But for our culture, our country's culture, I think it was a hell of a weekend for our culture. I mean, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. And you try to think of a simple answer to a complex problem with many facets and many moving parts, and a simple answer just won't work. I mean, one word, one phrase, it just won't do it. You cannot solve it. It's too complex. And for all the analysis I heard and read this weekend, and there was a boatload, I couldn't really see any one logical answer for all this violence that's been growing and growing and growing. And not just the last 2 years. Don't give me that. Wrong. It's been growing for quite some time. And these commentators and analysts are saying, well, clearly it's this and clearly it's that. And clearly, let me see, how did most of them end? Clearly, the violence is being caused by President Trump's hateful rhetoric. Hateful rhetoric. I'd like to know precisely what hateful rhetoric they are referring to. Precisely what? Maybe President Trump engages in bombast. Oh, yeah, he does. He's pretty good at that. He engages in exaggeration for effect, you know, hyperbole. Yeah, he does. But hateful? I don't think so. Some of the analysis I heard and read were pretty hateful themselves, or itself, or themselves, whatever. So I don't think it's his hateful rhetoric. And what else was it? Oh, yes. Another phrase that popped up over and over and over and over and over again was white nationalism. Whatever precisely white nationalism is, I'm not really sure. You kind of get the gist of it, but not really what white nationalism is. And if you do believe in something called white nationalism, if indeed it does exist, it's pretty disgusting stuff. I mean, the concept of white nationalism is crazy. That's wrong. That's very, very wrong. And I think the analysts took that crazy shooter in El Paso, some whacked out manifesto he posted online where he rambled on and on and on about he didn't like Hispanics and he didn't like Latinos and this and that. Well, also early on in the manifesto, if you read it, it turns out that this idiot felt like that long before Trump. Long before Trump. So really, you know, maybe he does or was or is or something a white nationalist. Well, that's wrong and it's totally disgusting, but it did happen before Trump. And it wasn't anything Trump said. This guy was just whacked out. That's all there is to it. I mean, he really, what could motivate a person to go out and kill people? I mean, in the first place. But just by the fact that you do it, it means you're crazy. Whereas normal people don't do that. Sane people do not do that. The guy was crazy. Mentally ill. Okay, mentally ill. Yeah, very mentally ill. In other words, he's crazy, right? So you can't really blame Trump for that one. And what about this guy, where was the other one? In Dayton, Ohio? Talk about whacked out. Huh. You'd hardly call this guy a white nationalist. The shooter in Dayton? I don't let me see. I have heard a couple of reports on the air about how really crazy this guy was, but it gets a lot worse than you heard on the air. I have a story from the Dayton Daily News. And it was dated, and let me see, early this morning. And it says, and I quote from the Dayton Daily News, Dayton shooter obsessed with killing Bellbrook classmates say. The man who killed 9 people Sunday morning in Dayton's Oregon district was once kicked out of Bellbrook High School for making a list of girls he wanted to kill, the Dayton Daily News learned in interviews with former classmates. The 24-year-old shooter was shot and killed by the cops, ending a brief yet deadly rampage in which he killed his sister, 8 others, and injured 27. Now, the cops say they haven't yet established a motive for Sunday's massacre. I'll take a guess. I'll just take a guess. The guy was nuts. But acquaintances tell the Dayton Daily News the warning signs of the shooter's unusual obsession with killing and death cropped up a long time ago. This isn't a mystery to me, said one former middle school classmate. Now, this guy was 24, right, the shooter, so it was a long time ago. The classmate, who spoke to the newspaper on condition of anonymity, said the shooter once said he fantasized about tying her up and slitting her throat. The fetish was so macabre that even the shooter admitted he was scared of his thoughts, the woman recalled him saying. He knew it wasn't normal, the woman said about the decade-old conversation. He and I talked at length about him getting help. Now, the woman said that she and her parents told the cops in Bellbrook about the bizarre admission. But the woman said she felt she wasn't taken seriously, despite the would-be shooter including her on a hit list. Now, the cops haven't released information about any involvement they might have had with him, but Chris Baker, the former Bellbrook High School principal who resigned this summer, confirmed to the Dayton Daily News that the shooter was suspended for causing a lockdown by writing a hit list on a bathroom wall. He said, I would not dispute that information, but I don't want to get involved any more than just making that comment. Okay. So, who said this? Sinclair Community College officials said the shooter enrolled there in 2017 and studied psychology. That makes a lot of sense, but he wasn't taking classes this summer. We are actively working with law enforcement to provide any and all information we may have to assist them in the response to this horrific act, said Steve Johnson, the college president. The newspaper also purchased a background check of the shooter's social media history. Among the details that surfaced in the search were MySpace photographs, that was a long time ago, of notebook sketches showing odd phrases handwritten in, what's this called, Screamo music-style font. And the posts appear to be about a decade old. So, the cops knew about this. The cops knew about it. And what the girl says is they didn't take her seriously. He told me that he wants to tie me up and slit my throat and then shoot me or something like that. And the cops said, well, it's, it's not really important. We really don't believe it. So, and they wouldn't take her seriously. So eventually, he kills 9 people and injures 27 more because they didn't take this guy seriously. And as I said, once again, I don't think I call him a white nationalist. It doesn't say where he was motivated by anything President Trump said. He was just crazy. So you start, as I said, you try to find a simple answer to a complex, multifaceted question, and you're just not going to find it because it's not there. And now the talk in Washington and everywhere else is about more gun control. We need more gun control. Right now, there are approximately, little hard to tell these days, but there's approximately 330 million people in this country, and there are far, far, far more guns than there are people. So what are you going to do about that? Once the guns are out there in the system, there they are. What do you do? They're there. And anyway, as near as I can determine, I'm just taking a guess on this, but a gun is an inanimate object. A gun doesn't wake up in the morning and say, I think I'll go out and kill a bunch of people. It's sitting there minding its own business. It's inanimate. It's a person who wakes up in the morning and says, I think I'll kill a lot of people, and take that gun and do it. So you can't blame the guns either. And you could do background checks all day long, which they do now anyway. But I don't think it's going to stop it. I really don't think it's going to stop it. I think it's systemic. It's throughout our entire culture is so incredibly violent. It's really frightening. And there are degrees of violence, right? Way at the top is killing people. That's it. That is the ultimate, is killing people. But it starts way lower, a whole bunch lower. It starts with, I think, respect for human life. We don't even have respect for human life anymore. And if you have no respect for your fellow human being, then where is that going to lead to? You take that with a culture that's just so incredibly violent, getting more and more and more so every month. Even though, as I said, it's been going. Oh, I could go on until 10 o'clock this morning. Right now, I have a list of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of mass shootings in the United States dating back to, get this, 1922. And I have it right here in front of me. I printed out a bunch of pages. Now, there's no way I'm going to use this. But these mass shootings have been going on for a long time, But they're getting more and more frequent, and more people are getting killed. And as I said, they've been going on for such a long time that you cannot blame Trump. And if you want to talk about hate speech and violent acts and intimidation, how about, let me see, how about we go to shortly after Trump was elected, what did that former singer, that babe, Madonna? She stood on a platform or something in front of the White House and said, I want to burn down the White House. That doesn't seem like a normal thing to say, I don't think. I want to burn down the White House. How about, what's that actor, that has-been actor, De Niro? He's always specialized in playing a tough guy, right? And what he famously, I'm not going to say it. But he said something absolutely horribly, viciously vile about President Trump. Take that, and then there you go. That's what he said. That's okay, and he's a famous, and people applauded. People applaud at this kind of action. How about harassing people when they're trying to have dinner at a restaurant with their family, walking in there, harassing them, and making them leave because you do not agree with their politics. How about following people around and harassing them? How about, oh, yeah, that's right. MAGA hat beating. Now, Make America Great Again. Great slogan. I don't really quite agree with that. I think it always was great. And it is great. But the MAGA thing is pure marketing and pure Trump. But people who wear MAGA hats and happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and there have been many, many instances in the last 2 years where these people are beat up. A crowd will beat them up because they're wearing a MAGA hat. That's okay, it isn't murder. As I said, this starts way at the bottom, and then you move up that scale of violence. So people who wear MAGA hats are taking a real chance. I've spoken to people who don't want to put a Trump sticker on their car because if they go to Rochester or Elmira or Buffalo, there's a chance that their car will be damaged. Right? Why take a chance? Pretty expensive, the painting a car, you know? So they don't want to do that. I was on a website the other day where there was a T-shirt for sale. And how do I explain this without really explaining it? But the T-shirt, imagine wearing this in public. There is no way to get around this. I got to do it. The T-shirt says, F Trump, and if you like Trump, F you. Now, what the heck kind of stuff? What is that? What is that? That's violence. It's implied violence. It isn't taking a gun and shooting anybody, but it's implied violence. And that's how we are on both sides, right? How about look at what passes for comedy now. I don't think there's been any real comedy in American media for probably 20 years. It isn't funny anymore. It's all hateful. It's just dripping with hate. That is disgusting. So that's how we become. That's how we become. But no, it's Trump's hateful rhetoric. Really. As I said, once again, what did he say that was hateful? He speaks the truth. I don't think he speaks what's hateful. As I said, he engages in just a little bit of exaggeration, a little bit of hyperbole. There you go. But I don't think it's hateful. And a lot of people, oh, yes, it is. Oh, absolutely. Sure. Right. You know what? We're going to take a break, and I will be back with a lot more on this.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
News from the NFL, where the New England Patriots and quarterback Tom Brady are reportedly on the verge of finalizing a 2-year contract extension worth $70 million. A future Hall of Famer who is entering the final year of his contract will now be signed through the 2021 season. Brady will get an $8 million increase in salary for this year, making the 6-time Super Bowl winner the 6th highest paid quarterback in the league. In baseball games of note, the Yankees beat the Red Sox 7-4. New York sweeps the 4-game series from Boston, who's now dropped 8 straight games. Dodgers walk off with an 11-10 win over the Padres. Max Muncy's 2 RBI double in the 9th was the difference. Cubs over the Brewers 7-2. Chicago sweeps the 3-game series from Milwaukee and holds a game-and-a-half lead on St. Louis atop the NL Central as the Cardinals lost to the A's 4-2. Oakland remains a half game out of the final wildcard spot in the American League. Phillies fall to the White Sox 10-5, while the Nationals lost to the Diamondbacks 7-5. So Philadelphia remains tied with Washington for the final wildcard spot in the National League.
From the Fox Business Network, stock futures are sharply lower with continued concerns about the impact of the trade dispute. Looking forward to Sunday deliveries of your packages next year from FedEx and UPS? You should know those drivers will be paid less than those who drive during the week. The Wall Street Journal says FedEx will use independent contractors from its ground delivery unit, and UPS now has a 2-tiered wage system for drivers, so it will be using the lower-paid workers during the weekends. The hacker who exposed 106 million Capital One financial records may have found a way into a weak spot in Amazon's cloud. The Journal says the accused hacker, Paige Thompson, is believed to have tricked the system using a gap that security professionals have warned about for years. The Dow was down 98 on Friday, the Nasdaq dropped 107, and the S&P was down 21. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jenny Cosola.
Capel here, serial entrepreneur with words from another happy payroll customer.
I've used it for a year now, and I've worried 0 time. I just enter in the time, it's calculated, and it's taken out of bank account, and it's just done. I love it.
Visit us at patriotsoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll free. That's patriotsoftware.com.
Accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Today at Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads and Hornell, New York, you'll find brand new 2019 Nissan all-wheel drive Rogue SV models equipped with heated power seat, 17-inch alloys, remote start, and motion-activated liftgate for only $23,999. Shop Simmons Rockwell Nissan in Horseheads or Hornell. Simmons-Rockwell.com.
The Ryan Agencies, your local, independent insurance agencies. At the Ryan Agency, they work hard to find the right coverage at the best rate. Their agents shop more than 24 insurance companies to discover your best price. Save smart. Contact the Ryan Agencies today for your best price.
Insurance protection you can rely on. The Ryan Agency.
Okay, and we are back. Now, as I said, I had this long list of mass shootings in the United States since 1922. Let's just go back a couple of years. How about June 12, 2016, Orlando, Florida? 103 people, 50 killed, 53 wounded. Right? Who was that? Could it have been Obama's hateful rhetoric? Oh, wait, that's right. It was Obama. That's right. Oh, my. That was Orlando, Florida. How about San Bernardino, California, December 2nd, 2015? 38 people, 16 killed, 22 wounded. It was a married couple. They opened fire on the husband's colleagues at a work training event, and it's believed that they were connected to a specific foreign terrorist organization, hardly a white nationalist. And where are we here? It just goes on. Oh, what about, let me see, Waco, Texas? That was a mass shooting, 27 killed there. That was in May 17th, 2015. How about, I don't know, we go to, Isla Vista, California. 20 people there, 7 killed, 13. That was in 2014. Who was president? No, I don't think so. Fort Hood, Texas. This was the second shooting. There was a first shooting at Fort Hood, Texas. And this one, let me see, 14 were injured and 4 were killed for a total of 18 people. A Fort Hood shooter, let me see, he was denied leave, and so he took out a gun and began shooting people and killing people. Hardly a white nationalist. How about the shooting at the Washington Navy Yard in September 16, 2013? 13 killed, 8 injured there. Let me see, who was president? No, I don't think so. No. Oh, Newton, that's right. Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook Elementary School, 28 dead and 2 injured. 2012. Let me see, who was president then? Let me see, Aurora, Colorado. 12 people killed, 70 injured for a total of 82 July 20th, 2012. Because this nut job was watching The Dark Knight Rises or something and began shooting. Okay? Where else have we here? As I said, I have a lot. Tucson, Arizona, let me see, January 8th, 2011, 6 dead, 15 wounded for a total of 20. That's the one where Gabby Giffords, the attempted assassination of Gabby Giffords. How about, this was a big one at Fort Hood. This was November 5th, 2009. Who was president? Let me see. 14 dead, 33 injured for a total of 47. A U.S. Army psychiatrist opened fire and killed 13 individuals and injured 33 others. And that was at Fort Hood. That was in an Army base, right? So it just goes on. And this one and that with 13 here and 17 here and 15 there and 9 here and 7 there and 27 here. And a lot of those, actually the ones I just read, were from the Obama administration. Now, true, there have been a bunch since Trump took office too. But it doesn't begin and end with Trump. It's been going on for a long time. This is really serious stuff. And I guess, a lot of people are saying that really the main thing is mental health. We need closer tabs on people's mental health or something. Better background checks or do something, because this cannot continue. This is not our culture. It's become our culture, but it needn't continue to be our culture. And I believe that there are far more good people than bad people. Okay? Far more mentally healthy people than mentally unhealthy people. So I guess in the end, you just got to be optimistic. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow at 8:05. Bye.